And welcome into the Cam Razr Show on this Monday, September 25th, 2017. It's 10 o'clock on the East Coast. We're taking up until 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time as we always do. Hey, are you moping on this Monday? In the office, perhaps chilling by the water cooler, listening on your earbuds, avoiding the boss. Totally fine. I won't tell him or her. Feel free to come along with me for the next hour as we, of course, encourage you to comment, to rant, to react throughout the program here today. We are completely live, but hey, if you can't get me right here, right now, download the podcast version of the Cam Razr Show on iTunes for Team iPhone and on Google Play for hashtag Team No iPhone. Just search the Cam Razr Show. That'll be up at about the midway point of the day today, and it's a unique show here this morning. No headlines. We're going to get right into the meat of the show. It, of course, revolves around what transpired in the National Football League yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my worst nightmare. There's a reason I'm in sports. It's so I can avoid politics. But here we are. We have politics to discuss because it was involved in what was week 3 across the National Football League yesterday. So I'll get into that. We'll actually show you a little piece here on what was visuals of players protesting in their own way, and then we'll get through some of the statements from some of the players after their games yesterday. So we have a little piece to play for you guys. We'll get your reactions on that. I'll get into my rant about all of this. And then my guy, Jesse Karangu, who's a national engagement producer for Sinclair Broadcast Group, he will join us at 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. Looking forward to chatting with him. He knows a lot about this subject, very knowledgeable person, and that's why I'm having him on the show. He's way more knowledgeable than me, which is very important. So there we go. Jesse coming on later today. Later in the show, Totem Pole. So my guy, Harris Rubenstein, coming back on stage, if you will, and we're going to power rank the top cell phones for their respective era. So we're talking perhaps iPhone 4S, maybe the chocolate. Hey, were you a Juke person back in the day? Remember that skinny phone that you flipped up that like you couldn't text on? So we'll power rank the top phones for their time, and then we'll get to the final word, a Monday Night Football preview. Of course, the Dallas Cowboys are in action. They're battling the Arizona Cardinals in the Big Toaster in Arizona, so I will pick that one. My picks stink. I actually remember saying on Friday that I was giving you guys the answer key to the NFL Sunday this week, essentially, because my picks were going to be right. I was going to be 100%, and I'm like stinking up the joint right now, so I'm so sorry about that. I was lying. I guess I was not providing you with the answer key. So, very exciting show here today, and I want to start off with you guys taking a look at this video that we have produced for you. It was shown last night in the NFL recap. We'll play it here as well, just to give you guys a little context as in terms of what occurred yesterday. Let's take a look. And welcome back here to the Cam Razr Show. So that was a little summary of yesterday, some of the visuals of the players protesting in their own way. LaShawn McCoy stretching during the national anthem. We didn't show this, but some of the teams didn't even show up on the field, the Steelers, for example. So it was an unprecedented day in the National Football League yesterday. We'll start off with a reaction poll. What is your general response to yesterday's protests? And here are your options. You can give a heart out if you totally agree with them, a wow face for surprise, but just fairly neutral about it, give a laughing face for no need for it, and an angry face for fuming. You are enraged about yesterday. So throw in those reactions. We'll track them throughout the show here. But there's no doubt about it. In my decade of watching football, I have never seen something like this before. And it's a yin and yang effect here, right? I mean, you have President Trump on Friday evening essentially calling players, NFL players who protest SOBs. And, I mean, what are the NFL players going to do? Not react, not respond, not lock arms, not protest even further. In fact, all President Trump did was throw gasoline oil on his fire that he thinks is occurring. So I just think that, yes, we are in an era where politics and sports are more intertwined, more tight-knit than ever before. And that's the way it's going to be. I mean, I'm just going to report that right off the bat. It's politics and sports, for the next, I'd say, 5 or 6 years, they're going to be pretty close-knit, pretty tight, and that's just the way it is. And, you know, it was interesting. I was actually reading an article. There was a day when sports figures were actually scared to express their political beliefs. Way back, you know, I remember reading an article about Michael Jordan, and he was afraid to speak out against anything because he thought it would hurt his Jordan brand. And now we're in a time where players are freely exercising their First Amendment. And so I think that's only going to grow. I think it's only going to be more mainstream in society. So if you don't like that, hate to break the news, folks, but that's the way it's going to be. Now let's get to the subject matter at hand. I can't believe we're still arguing in 2017 about the basic fabric of America, the First Amendment and the freedom of expression. And I say this to people who have issue with the protesting. Why do you care? Live your own life. If you think kneeling during the national anthem is disrespectful, stand. Do you. Do what you think is right. And let other people do what they feel is right and what they feel they need to do. I thought of this is like elementary school when little Jimmy is yelling at the teacher because little Timmy is picking his nose, and the teacher goes, "Little Jimmy, how about you just worry about yourself?" Little Jimmy will worry about little Jimmy, and little Timmy will worry about little Timmy. That's what we're at right now. It's like, why don't you worry about yourself and other people worry about themselves as well? Like, why can't we all just do that? And so it's absolutely ridiculous that people actually take the energy to get angry about this because it's a waste of your time. Just stop. It's the way America is. It's about differentiation of opinion. It's about the marketplace of ideas. Heck, we were founded off of one big fat protest of the British Empire. And to say now that protesting is wrong is basically hypocritical of the founding fathers and what they believed in, right? I mean, so it's obnoxious to see the outrage about it because it doesn't affect your daily life. It doesn't affect you from going into work this morning and doing a good job for your respective company, does it? Did the fact that Justin Houston kneeling yesterday affect your performance in sales at whatever company you're at today? Is it going to affect how you hit your quota? I don't think it will. So, in summary, stop worrying about what other people are doing. It's a waste of your energy. It's a waste of your time. It's what America is. What we do is express what we believe. And to really just get angry about that is wasteful, I think. I feel like you can direct your energy in other directions. And so there is no doubt that there is a disconnect between the protesters and the dissenters, if you will, so the people in President Trump's camp. And I'm going to ask Jesse about this later, because the protesters do not want to disrespect America. They do not want to disrespect the flag. All they're trying to do is send a message. Meanwhile, the dissenters feel that the protesters are disrespecting America, disrespecting the flag, etc. So there's a disconnect in messaging, and I think that's a part of the problem here. And until that disconnect becomes connected, I think we're going to have outrage. We're going to have these fiery debates on social media and perhaps by the water cooler and the dinner table. Who knows? In fact, I saw a couple of family members actually going at it on my Facebook account. Is this where we're at now, where we're wasting our time being angry about something that is in the Constitution, expressing our First Amendment rights? You know, and I also think it's interesting that President Trump, as a businessman, thinks that NFL owners are going to fire these players who make these owners millions and millions of dollars. Like, Trump, I know deep down you believe that you would not be firing these players if you were an owner. In fact, he almost was an owner, I believe, of the Buffalo Bills. So he knows that. I mean, he knows that the owners aren't going to fire these guys. And so it was a crazy day to the NFL yesterday, but I think it was almost the start of a new era. The start of a new political/sporting world. And so, it was a very significant day. Now, in terms of a solution, here's what I proposed. I'm no poli-sci major or degree holder, if you will, political science. But here's what I thought of. I think President Trump should set up a committee, an athletic committee, made up of 15 players. 5 who protest the national anthem, 5 who are neutral, and 5 who think it's disrespectful. Bring them all together, get in a room, a conference room of some sort, and have an open dialogue about what is going on and get every single person's perspective on the matter. Right? I mean, that's what Trump really campaigned on, right? Bringing people together and negotiating. Why can't he do that? So I think that would probably be the best way to go about this. Heck, you can make this committee long term, right? It doesn't have to be a one-time deal. So I think that might be the best way to do it, is to create some sort of conversation, some ongoing dialogue, and then perhaps after the second or the third or the fourth meeting, then you come out and have a joint press conference and discuss the progress. I think that's the best way to really come to a conclusion here, or at least to go in the right direction. Because right now, we're at a point where everybody is so polarized on this subject. And so with that, we want you guys to weigh in. Who do you agree with on the situation? Trump or the protesters? Or maybe it's a blend of the two. Maybe you're in the middle somewhere. It's a very complex issue. And there's a reason why I have a guest coming on. His name is Jesse Karangu, one of my good pals. We went to the University of Maryland together. And he will be coming on after the break here on the Cam Rogers Show to discuss more about what transpired yesterday. Stick around. And welcome back to the Cam Rogers Show. It's about the bottom of the hour on the East Coast, 10:37 Eastern Standard Time. We got Harris Rubenstein.
What's going on, people? How we doing?
You know what that means? Totem pole time.
Woo!
Huh?
Let's do it.
No connectivity issues here, right?
I'm real. See, I'm a person. You can feel
True
me. I'm
human
here.
being.
It's great.
Okay, by the way, real quick follow-up, breaking news. NFL will not punish any of the players in terms of their protests yesterday. So there you go, a little breaking news.
As they shouldn't. That would create a national uproar. I know NASCAR had announced it like they like threatened to fire their crew chiefs or their drivers if they did anything. So different demographics. I'll put it that way. Much different.
Two sides already in big sports. All right, so Harris, we are power ranking. Now, you know I'm a very nostalgic guy.
Yes.
Like I still think back to my
I feel
high school
like
days.
that's
you know
our
what I mean?
generation as a
Yeah.
whole, like number one nostalgia.
Take me back, One Tree Hill. There we go. So the best cell phones for their respective era.
Okay.
Right. So
Yep.
we're thinking back, and
It's a great topic.
Of course,
I gotta
James
say.
Yoder here, CEO of Chat Sports, has some history with Verizon, so he knows all about cell phones and their respective history. So let's start off with number 5 here, Harris. It's a phone we never knew.
Nope.
But James suggested it. It's the Zack Morris phone, of course. Saved by the Bell. You know that show?
I do know Saved by the Bell. I know Saved by the Bell mostly because people compare me to Screech all the time. Like, whether or not it's true, I don't know.
Oh,
but
boy.
people just constantly say that I'm
Didn't
like
he like
the
stab
characters.
someone or something?
I really hope he didn't stab someone.
Pretty sure he like went into jail. Maybe he's in jail right now for something. Yeah, he's a criminal, dude. I hope you knew that.
No, I didn't. That's a problem. I know. I've seen this phone multiple times. This thing's just like a big brick. It looks like the old car phones.
Yeah.
My dad had a car phone. It's like this big brick, but that's yeah.
Wait, so did people actually carry that in their pockets? I mean, you don't know this. But
Well, no, they were carrying in their briefcase. Remember, this is back when
right.
you had like the solid like
attaché
big
briefcase.
Yeah, the big rectangle briefcases were like an actual thing.
All right, so there you go. The Zack Morris phone at number 5. Number 4, I was obsessed with getting this phone so badly, Harris. I went on eBay and bought it used.
I gotta say,
the Razr.
how is this so low? How is this only number 4? This phone was everywhere. My mom had this phone for at least a decade. Like, this thing was sturdy, it was fast, it was great calls. This thing was the truth. This thing was like one of the last great
Flip
keypad.
phones.
Yeah, flip phones. It probably was the last great flip phone.
It
honestly.
was. I mean, look how sleek and slim
That was
it is.
great.
You know, just slide it into your pocket.
And also, the best thing, by the way, the best thing about every one of these phones, I think besides the Zack Morris phone, the commercials for these phones were great. Do you remember the commercials
right?
for the Razr?
Or was that
It was
something
what it was. It was like this guy in like a ninja costume, and he reared back and he would throw this thing, and all of a sudden, breaking through this piece of glass like a big ninja star
So
is the
dramatic.
Razr phone. It looks so cool.
All right, there you go. Number 4, the Razr. Number 3, the iPhone 4S. This is too recent for me, but I guess I'll allow it. I guess this is when the iPhone went mainstream.
Best iPhone pound for pound they ever made. This thing was the truth. Like, the iPhone 3 was fun. The iPhone
nobody
5
really
was
had
great.
the iPhone 3.
No one had the iPhone 3, but the iPhone 4S, like as James tells us, when it really hit the mainstream, when everyone started to have an iPhone. I remember having this phone. I loved this thing. This thing was incredible.
It used to be you would have a cell phone and you would have an iPod Touch.
Because
that changed that.
The 3G was so slow, and then 4T came along.
4T.
Before LTE, if you guys remember
4T.
4T or 4G, whatever it was called. That's what the iPhone 4 was. That thing was a monster. I love that phone.
All right, iPhone 4S at number 3. How about number 2? I mean, this thing revolutionized the keypad.
Yes.
The Sidekick.
This thing made the keypad cool.
Yeah.
Make the keypad
But that
cool
thing
again.
was very big.
That thing was huge. That thing, when you
was
would
a
try,
rock.
it was not meant for phone calls. You would take a phone call on this thing and it would literally take up like your entire face. Like, it was a cool phone. I never had a Sidekick. I had the Dare.
Right.
So I kind of went to the other side because I didn't like the big keyboard.
Wasn't
but
the Sidekick a T-Mobile phone only? Like, who had T-Mobile or has T-Mobile?
I currently have T-Mobile
Oh,
right now.
well,
So
great timing
throwing
on my
some
part.
shade there,
I'm sorry,
Cam.
buddy. I mean, but they don't cover a lot of the country.
Unlimited Wi-Fi or unlimited data, thank you.
Yeah,
But
in like 2 cities.
That's fair. But the Sidekick was a high quality
So wait,
phone.
did you say that you had one or you didn't have
No,
one?
I didn't. I had the Dare, where
The
you had
Dare.
the commercial, the girl standing on the side of the building, and it was like dare you to touch,
By
and
the
she
way,
would like
that
reach
phone was
over and touch
awful.
the phone. It
'Cause
was
how
awful.
many butt dials could you make with that? Like
Oh,
a
a million. Oh man, I was the worst.
Ugh.
And with my big butt, no, it was a problem.
Yeah, I was never a fan of this phone that was just a screen, like a straight
Yep.
screen, touch screen. Like, just,
Now all of them.
I guess you're right. But that phone, like, it didn't lock right. I don't know.
They're all screens.
Let's just go to number 1 here. The NV2, 8th grade. Texting on that bad, Larry. Oh, that was fantastic. Like, small enough, like not Sidekick-like, but also, very usable.
A confession. Now that I see the MV2, getting a lot of memories back. That's the phone I used to text my first girlfriend on.
Wow.
I remember
There
the
you go,
keyboards.
folks. Harris,
and
before sliding into the DMs was a thing.
Sliding to the NV2.
Sliding in with the text, maybe an AIM message,
Oh, the AOL message. Oh, wait. Wait, hold on. Before we go
That's
on to the
gonna be
full
a
topic,
totem pole.
what was your username on AOL?
Okay, it was Money AAA111.
Money AAA1.
I was Mr. Money. I don't know. I just love money. Actually, it was from SpongeBob. It was a SpongeBob joke.
Oh, I love it. It's amazing.
So
that's great.
Yeah. So how about you? You got to say it.
Oh man. Well, all right. Mine was. Remember how I told you my gamer tag?
Yeah.
It was
pretty
Jackhammer5297. That was my username, my gamer tag for everything until I turned like 17, and then it became HG.
And then you finally got a girlfriend.
Then it became
it
HG Rubenstein 1
yeah,
because
you went back to conservative.
Yeah, I turned into an old person.
All right, so here's the recap here real quick. NB2, Sidekick, iPhone 4S, the Razr number 4, and the Zack Morris phone. If you don't know what that is, look up Saved by the Bell. We want you to weigh in now. What cell phone are we missing? Comment below. I can think of a few. I mean, you mentioned the Dare. How about the Voyager?
The Voyager was a great one. That was a full-on war at that point. I think it was the Voyager versus the
Dare.
I think that was the war, if my memory serves me correctly. We're missing the best phone of all time, though, Cam.
All right, drop it.
We're missing the Juke.
I had that written down. Dude, that thing didn't make any sense.
It was like this tall, but it was like this thin. It like only played music.
It was like a wannabe iPhone, though.
You couldn't text. It was awful. That thing was terrible.
It was like the purpose of it was like music. Right?
It was like calling people from a pencil.
That's what it was. That's what it was. So I mean, What about the chocolate though?
Oh, I had a cherry chocolate.
Of course, you had a cherry.
I had the maroon one. It was really cool. My sister had the strawberry chocolate, which was the pink one. My dad at one point had the dark chocolate. But fun fact about my dad with the dark chocolate, he had it for a week and a half, hated it so much that he threw away a fully funky, just threw it in the trash. Just threw it away. I was like, I hate this thing. And he threw it away.
I probably would have done the same thing. I mean,
he thought it was like the worst thing he'd ever used.
Oh, God. So, yeah, please weigh in on what cell phones really strike your nostalgic heart. I know Brett mentioned the Nokia.
The Nokia.
Bar phone.
The legendary unbreakable phone that you could roll over with your car and it'd be fine. See, that's the problem with phones nowadays. It's all the same. It's either a Google phone or an iPhone. That's really all everyone has.
Sean Warnicki chiming in. BlackBerry?
Yes.
Harris?
Oh, I had a BlackBerry. BlackBerries were my stuff. The reason I switched off of them is because they're so addicting. You're on your email all the time. You're playing Brick Breaker. You're texting people. That full keyboard in your it's perfect. That was
another
phone.
Butt dial phone though, right?
Yeah, in a way, yeah. You could find ways to avoid it. That was a butt text phone. You could find ways to avoid it, but the BlackBerry was the truth. I love the BlackBerry.
Let's get to Richard Allen Harris here. He's going with the Juke.
Yep.
I just don't get it. Where's the workability in it?
It wasn't
snap it.
That's why
like literally.
I love it because the
way be a toothpick.
The way you used it is because it had like the little dial. You would have to like spin the dial to like move around the phone. That was so bad.
James Yoder, BlackBerry Curve.
Yes, the BlackBerry Curve. My dad had that phone forever. My dad was like BlackBerry guy from 98 until 2011, and then he finally got on the iPhone bandwagon and is now addicted. But BlackBerries were the stuff. I loved my BlackBerry. Brick Breaker, greatest phone game of all time. Don't give me your Age of Swords and your War God games and the Brick Breaker. Or like, I don't want it. I want Snake. I want BlackBerry, Brick Breaker. Best phone game of all time. Number one.
All right, there you have it, folks. Our top 5 top cell phones for their respective era. Harris, we have a couple minutes here. I want to get your thoughts on what happened yesterday in the NFL. Give us your hot take. Give us your regular take, whatever it is.
I'll put it this way when it comes to the intersection of politics and sports. People need to stop asking or thinking as if politics and sports have never been intertwined before, where the real fact of the matter is sports and politics have been connected for as long as sports have been around. Like, this has never been just, the sports were created originally to help solve political issues and to prove like who was the greater man and stuff like that. But Muhammad Ali was one of the great political athletes of all time. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was one of the great political activists of all time in the history of sports. Like, this isn't a new thing, and it bothers me when I see Facebook comments, Twitter comments, I want to go back to the time where sports and politics weren't intersected. The issue is that people don't like this issue. And it's a tough one because, like you said, the message is now becoming diluted, where we're not really sure, or the general public is not sure, are they protesting, rights for black people? Or are they protesting the actual country? Are they protesting the military? Where the fact is that they're protesting racial injustice. But
some people don't understand
Some people don't understand that,
Yeah.
and they think that they're using the anthem as a platform to basically protest America. Where, like you said before, these players love America. They understand the privilege that they have of playing a professional sport. But at the same time, a lot of these guys grew up in very rough areas, seeing a lot of the injustice that we have in this world. And for them to now have a platform to use it and to kind of spread a little bit of intelligence and to spread a real issue of importance to them.
Why shouldn't they?
Why shouldn't they? Exactly.
It's the First Amendment. That's what I was trying to argue.
This is one of the reasons why the NBA is becoming so attractive to our generation. It's much more progressive in the fact that players are more icons than they are part of a team. Like, I would say that, a star in the NBA is more valuable than a star in the NFL, just simply due to the fact that you see their faces more.
Sure.
But look, we're going to have this problem with sports for the next couple years. Like this kneeling issue, this protest issue is not going away. If you think that, me not watching the NFL is going to stop this issue, it's not.
It's not.
This issue is bigger than the NFL. This issue is now bigger than just one specific league. It happened in baseball, which I'm a huge baseball fan. I understand the Midwestern appeal of baseball. And there's a reason why the guy who did it was on the Oakland A's and not on the St. Louis Cardinals. There are reasons for this. And I think more and more you're going to see more and more athletes get into this. But baseball's a really tough one to crack. That is a very large sport in terms of nationalism and kind of like America's pastime and that whole concept. So we're only going to get deeper into this from here. So if you think that this is going away anytime soon and that sports and politics are just going to stop if Donald Trump goes away, you're kidding yourself. This issue is not going away.
In terms of a solution, Harris, what do you think about my proposal during my opening rant about Trump getting some sort of athletic committee? I know these players in the NFL, they have a season, this is their full-time job, essentially, it's their life. But maybe in the offseason, 5 players who protest, 5 players who feel neutral about it, 5 players who are dissenters, get them together, get them in a room and have a dialogue and maybe have a joint press conference after.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, I think you're seeing Malcolm Jenkins on the Philadelphia Eagles do a lot of that stuff. This is now the second sitting president that he's gone in and had a meeting with about this topic. Sure. I think you have a lot of guys in the NFL. This isn't about these players wanting to get more involved with politics. The one problem I have is that everyone seems to think that they're doing this for their own personal gain. If they were doing this for their own personal gain, they would be trying to profit off of it.
They already had millions of dollars.
But they're not. Like, the issue that people think, Colin Kaepernick wanted this to become famous. Colin Kaepernick has donated $1 million to inner city programs, so much so that the NFL Players Association made him their community MVP, and he's not even playing right now. So this isn't for personal gain. And I think that the second that we as a country can get past the fact that they're not trying to insult America, they're not trying to spit on the flag, they're not trying to insult the military. A lot of these players have active members of the military in their families.
If they really didn't like America, they would just leave. But they want America to be better.
There's a difference between them hating the national anthem, hating this country, and seeing a problem in the greatest country in the world that they want fixed. This is the greatest country in the world. Go listen to what these guys have to say. Go listen to what Michael Thomas, the safety of the Dolphins, had to say. Go listen to what Colin Kaepernick had to say after he started this. He even said it. I love this country, but I can't stand around and close my eyes and pretend that there's no issues going on.
Yeah.
Just listen to these players. Listen to what they have to say, and you'll understand that they're not trying to spit on the nationalism of this country. They're trying to say, hey, this country is great, but it can be better. And we can make improvements as a whole. And I think that's one of the big, I guess, what's the word, roadblocks that we need to get through right now.
Well, I know even Trump's most staunch supporters want him off the Twitter and perhaps more into a person-on-person dialogue.
And also, the other issue I have now, it is not, now the message is even more diluted. Because now people think it's the NFL versus Donald Trump. It was never the NFL versus Donald Trump until the tweets started.
Donald Trump was never even a part of this.
And I'm not saying I hear Trump, this and that, but you can't tell me that this was the NFL versus Trump until he made it that way. And that's what this whole weekend was about, with the players saying this isn't
your fight. This isn't your battle. This isn't, like, you're the president, sure, but this isn't about you. This is about our struggle. This is about the problems that we see in our communities, and it's become a monster. It's become a monstrosity of what its original purpose was going to be. And I think the next step for the players is figuring out a way to not fix their message, because there's nothing wrong with their message, but to communicate it better in a way so that that literally 2/3 of America doesn't think that they're spitting on the flag.
Right.
And I understand that's not their intention. I know a lot of the media understands that's not their intention. And if that's a media problem, that we're not communicating their message well enough, then we need to do better as a whole as well.
And certainly a lot of work needs to be done, Harris, and we'll see what happens going forward. I only think that we're going to see more of this in the coming NFL Sundays. And, we can take some questions here. I believe we have some questions in the comments section. So let's bring those up. Harris, we'll keep you on until the end of the show. Is that cool?
I'm down to get down.
All right, let's
Love
do
being
that.
on the show. You can. Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen.
Happy Monday.
I know it was a weird day yesterday with a lot of the protests, but I'll have to say, we had a great day of football yesterday.
Hey, yeah, there was that too. How about those 1 o'clock games?
If you chose this week to boycott the NFL, you missed a great set of games. I gotta say, you missed a lot of great games.
We got Richard with a comment. Having the flag across the football field laying flat is actually disrespecting the flag according to flag code.
See, this is, and thank you, Rich, for your comment. This is where, this is my point. See, now it's become A versus B instead of I have a message, please listen and interpret yourselves. When Kaepernick did this the first time, my biggest issue is that people started calling out the protest itself. Go listen to his comments in his post-game press conference.
Very eloquent.
Eloquent. He was smart. He was very particular. I know a lot of the things he's done since with the Fidel Castro stuff and the socks with the pigs, with the policemen with the pigs. I understand, and that part is an issue. But go listen to his original message, and it will I didn't understand what he was talking about until I went and watched it on YouTube. It was brilliant. It was, like you said, it was very intelligent. The stuff he was saying, and he understood. And guess what? In a country that loves people, that puts money where their mouth is, Kaepernick did that. He didn't just stand around and start talking and kneeling. The guy donated $1 million to 15 to 20 different organizations of social activism. And I think we're starting to lose the message here. And I think that's the biggest issue.
All right, let's bring in Don Armstrong here. Don saying, my brother came home from Vietnam with that flag that they are disrespecting draped over his coffin. So yes, it does affect me. Don, first things first, thank you to your brother for doing what he did. And we will never forget the efforts that he put in.
I'll say this, though, and this is kind of a personal thing. I hope I don't really piss people off by saying this, but I've never really understood why we do the national anthem before every single sporting event. For instance, in England, they only do God Save the Queen before major sporting events. So before really big soccer games or before really big rugby games. They don't do it before every single game. I feel that doing it every single game is it dilutes it a little bit. And, at the same time, we want to talk about respecting the flag, this and that as the athletes. I mean, how many sports games have you gone to where, the national anthem's gone around, you see people, they're sitting down, they're drinking beers, they're going to the bathroom. Expecting these players to be honorable to the national anthem, I understand that, but please also do it yourself. Put your money where your mouth is. If you see people around you in the stands who aren't respecting the national anthem and you feel very strongly about this, yell at them too. You have to be consistent on this. Don't just get mad at the players for not standing. If you see fans around you just sitting there, they're picking their nose, they're just sitting around doing nothing. If you think it's an issue, then it's an issue for everyone, not just athletes.
And I think people need to be a little more thick-skinned about this. I mean, if you are standing for the flag yourself.
And you're allowed to be upset about this. I'm not saying that people can't be upset about protesting, you can be very upset about, the protesting of the nationalism of this country.
That's your right.
And that's your right. Go ahead. First Amendment is the best part about this country. Always has been, always will be. Do you. Just listen. Instead of shouting at people, instead of like coming up with random opinions saying, oh, these guys don't deserve this and that, and they're spoiled and blah. They're using this to transmit a message. Go listen to the message first. And then if you don't like the message, fine. But yelling at them and thinking that they're disrespecting the anthem and the flag tells me that you aren't listening to the message.
And I also argued at the beginning of the show, I think in a way, it's almost like you're wasting your energy by getting angry. Why not just have an understanding dialogue about it? I mean, it's easy to get angry about something, right? A snap reaction.
The safety for the Dolphins last night during his
he got choked up.
He got choked up. He started to cry because he was like, my
played it last
5-year-old daughter is sitting around listening to the president call me a son of a bitch.
Yep.
Like, this stuff means a lot to these players. They're not just doing this because they're trying to stick their noses up in America. They're doing this because it matters to them. And it's a big thing. And I personally would have liked to see the protest be a little different. But I'll say this much. A protest is about getting your message across. This is one of the most effective protests ever. Because this is all anybody is talking about.
Hey, we just devoted a whole show to it. Harris Rubenstein, Cam Rogers here. I know that, Harris, we do like to discuss fun topics and, get crazy on this show, but this was obviously something that we had to address.
Sometimes you got to put the big boy pants on and talk about some real problems. I like it. You got, we're no political activists. We're just sportscasters, but hey, we're the media. We can understand that we need to do better. If transmitting the message is the problem, we're here to make it better.
Friendly reminder, can download the podcast version of The Cam Rogers Show. Just search The Cam Rogers Show on iOS/iPhone and Google Play for the Android users. Harris Rubenstein, Cam Rogers, thank you for tuning in. I will see you Wednesday, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. See you then.